My fiancé thought it would be hilarious to post "Last Night of Freedom" alongside pictures of her sitting on another man's lap at some club. I decided to leave a comment right underneath. "First night of freedom, actually." After that, I changed my relationship status to single and tagged her dad. What unfolded after that ended up making local news. I'm 29, male, and at the time I was supposed to be stuck working late on a Thursday night. My fiancée, Alexis, who's 27, told me she was keeping her bachelorette party low-key. Just her evadesmaids, some dinner, and maybe a couple glasses of wine at her friend Taryn's apartment. The wedding was set for 9 days later. Around 11 o'clock, I was finishing up a project when my phone started lighting up with notifications. Instagram. Turns out, Alexis had posted a story with the caption, "Last Night of Freedom." The photo? Her straddling some random guy's lap at what was very obviously a club, not Taryn's apartment. His hands were on her waist, and she was leaning in, kissing his neck. I just sat there staring at my phone like an idiot for a full minute, trying to process it. Then more posts came through. Pictures of her grinding on him doing body shots off her evadesmaids standing around cheering like it was the best thing they'd ever seen. The final one stopped me cold. The two of them going at it, full makeout session with his hand shoved up her dress. The caption, "What happens at bachelorette stays at bachelorette." Yeah, except when you decide to blast it all over social media for the world to see. I screenshotted every single one. Then I dropped my comment on the last picture. "First night of freedom, actually. Wedding's off." Changed my status to single, and here's the real kicker. I tagged her dad, Victor. Now, let me explain that part. Victor was footing the entire bill for this wedding. We're talking 80 grand, the venue, the catering, the whole 9 yards. And he'd made it very clear to Alexis that there would be no wild bachelorette party because his business partners and their families were coming. The man owns 3 car dealerships and values his reputation above just about anything. Within 5 minutes, my phone practically melted. Alexis called, her friends called, and even numbers I didn't recognize kept blowing me up. I just turned the thing off and drove home. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of someone practically leaning on my doorbell. When I opened the door, there was Alexis's mom, Colleen, and she had Alexis in tow. Alexis looked rough. Makeup smudged, still wearing the same club dress, and crying her eyes out. "How dare you humiliate my daughter like that?" Colleen screamed at me. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "She humiliated herself. I just made sure people saw what she posted." Alexis turned on the waterworks. "Baby, it didn't mean anything. It was just harmless fun. All AITA do this. Everyone makes out with some random guy and posts it online before their wedding. You're overreacting. It was just dancing." So I pulled up the screenshots on my phone and held them out. "This is what you call dancing?" Colleen actually gasped when she saw the one with his hand up Alexis's dress. Even she couldn't spin that into something innocent. "Delete those photos right now," Colleen snapped. "The wedding is in 9 days." "What wedding?" I asked. That's when Alexis dropped the innocent act. She crossed her arms and said, "You already paid for everything. You can't cancel now. Do you realize how this is going to make me look?" There it was. Not an apology. Not even a hint of regret. Just her worrying about how she'd look to other people. "That's not my problem," I told her. "That's Victor's problem. He paid for the whole thing, remember? You insisted your daddy handle it all." Colleen's face went pale. "The deposits are non-refundable. All of them." They stormed out after Colleen threatened to sue me for emotional damages. Good luck with that one. But things only got crazier from there. About 3 hours later, I noticed a news van parked outside my apartment. Local news, no less. Alexis had apparently gone straight to Channel 7 and spun them some sob story about how I had publicly shamed her and ruined her life over what she called innocent bachelorette party fun. They actually interviewed her live on the noon segment. She showed up dressed like a Sunday school teacher. No makeup, crying about how I had betrayed her trust by weaponizing social media against her. She even claimed I was controlling and abusive for not letting her have one night of harmless fun with her girlfriends. The reporter swallowed it whole. They ran the story with the headline, "Groom's social media revenge goes too far." Yeah, apparently I was the villain for calling off my wedding after catching my fiancé tongue wrestling with some random guy in a nightclub. Update 1. The news piece ended up blowing up in her face. See, Alexis forgot one important detail. The internet never forgets. Within hours, people dug up her Instagram posts. She tried deleting them, but screenshots last forever. They started flooding the comments on the news station's Facebook post. The comments were brutal. Stuff like, harmless fun? She was basically dry humping him. Or, she posted it publicly and he's the bad guy for responding? And the classic, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Channel 7 didn't even bother fact-checking before running her pity story. But here's the best part, the guy from the club saw the segment. His name's Marcus and, surprise, he's married. His wife recognized him instantly when the story aired and absolutely lost it on their joint Facebook account. She posted everything, the photos, the texts. Apparently, Alexis had slipped him her number that night, and they'd been texting back and forth for 2 days. She sent him nudes, he sent some back. She told him she was in an open relationship and that her upcoming wedding was just for show because her fiancé was supposedly loaded. Loaded? I'm a project manager at a tech company. I live comfortably, sure, but rich is laughable. Later that afternoon, Victor called me for the first time ever. Just him and me, no Alexis in the middle. Son, he said, I need to know. Did she really do what those photos show? I sent him everything I had. There was a long silence on the other end, and then he said, I'm pulling the entire wedding fund. Every penny I can get back. I'm taking it. The rest she can deal with. I tried to tell him he didn't have to, but he cut me off. Yes, I do. I raised her better than this. Her mother has enabled her for too long. I'm done. Later that same day, Alexis decided to switch tactics. This time she didn't come alone. She rolled up with her evadesmates, Taryn, Lila, and Serena, and the 4 of them lined up in my hallway like they were staging some kind of intervention. Taryn kicked things off with, we need to talk about your toxic masculinity. I just blinked at her. My, what now? Lila jumped in like she'd been rehearsing it. You're punishing Kira for expressing her sexuality. It's 2024, women are allowed to have fun. I shrugged. She can have all the fun she wants, just not as my fiancé. That's when Serena went for the guilt trip angle. Do you have any idea how many people already bought their plane tickets? My grandma is flying in from Florida. I didn't even hesitate. Sounds like a personal problem. And then Alexis snapped. She went full on unhinged and hissed. If you don't take me back, I'll tell everyone you hit me. The hallway went dead silent. Even her evadesmaids looked horrified. Ava, Taryn whispered, her voice shaky. You can't say things like that. Why not? He's ruining my life. I deserve. She started. But I'd already pulled out my phone and hit record. Say that again. I told her, holding the camera up. On video this time. She froze, then stormed off. Her friends followed, though Lila lingered for a second. She leaned in and muttered. For what it's worth, I told her not to post those photos. Then she turned and left. That evening, the news station ran a follow-up segment. This time, they weren't interviewing Alexis, they had Marcus's wife. And she didn't come empty-handed. She brought receipts. The texts, the pictures, everything. The narrative flipped fast. From controlling groom lashes out to cheating avad caught red-handed. Alexis's Instagram went private, then disappeared completely. Her Facebook vanished too. But of course, she wasn't finished. Update 2. I swear, this woman went completely off the rails. First, she tried to salvage her so-called dream wedding. Since her dad cut her off, she started a GoFundMe titled, Help Me Save My Dream Wedding After Public Humiliation. She raised $47. Someone even chipped in $2 with the note, for therapy. When that flopped, she switched tactics. If she couldn't have the wedding, she'd try to squeeze money out of me. She started telling people we had some kind of verbal agreement where I owed her for the emotional labor she invested in our relationship. 3 years of support that she valued at 50 grand. When that nonsense didn't work, she aimed for my career. She emailed my boss, accusing me of harassing her and creating a hostile work environment. The kicker? We don't even work together. My boss, who had already seen the news coverage, forwarded me the email with a note that said, You dodged a missile, not a bullet. But the absolute peak of her insanity came on Thursday. I was in the grocery store when I got a call from my apartment complex. Security told me someone had tried to break into my place. They caught them in the act. Who was it? Alexis and some random guy I'd never seen before. She told security she was my wife. Not fiancée anymore, but wife. And that she just lost her key. The locksmith she brought with her? Turns out it was her cousin Nolan holding a crowbar. Security had already called the cops. I pressed charges for attempted breaking and entering. At the station, she threw every excuse she could think of. I left important medication inside. She's never taken medication. My grandmother's ashes are in there. Both of her grandmothers are alive and well. He stole my emotional support animal. We've never owned a pet. The officer taking her statement just looked exhausted. Ma'am, you've given 3 completely different reasons. Her response? Because I'm traumatized. Meanwhile, Nolan immediately flipped on her. She told me it was her apartment and said she'd give me $500 to help her get her stuff back. I had no idea about any of this drama. The security footage sealed the deal. It showed her trying to pick the lock herself before Nolan showed up with the crowbar. Premeditated attempted B&E, plain and simple. Her mom bailed her out that night, then called me, absolutely screaming about how dare I press charges against family. I cut her off. Colleen, we're not family. Your daughter made sure of that when she tongued another man at her bachelorette. It was a mistake, she yelled. Haven't you ever made a mistake? Sure, I said. The biggest one was proposing to her. She hung up on me. But remember Marcus's wife from earlier? She reached out to me on Facebook. Turns out Alexis hadn't stopped messaging Marcus even after everything had blown up. She was still sending him pictures, begging him to dump his wife, saying they were soulmates and that meeting him at the club was fate. Marcus's wife was already gathering evidence for a harassment case. She asked if I wanted to pool what I had with hers. I said absolutely. Then came Friday, the day before what should have been our wedding, and Alexis decided to make one last dramatic move. She showed up at my office, in a wedding dress. Not just any dress either, but the wedding dress, the $8,000 gown her dad had bought. She stood in the lobby, full veil, mascara running, sobbing and begging me to remember our love. Security escorted her out, but not before half the building snapped photos and videos. Someone later edited the footage, slapped some sad violin music over it, and posted it on TikTok. The thing went viral too. 3 million views. The comments were savage. The mascara tears really sell the crazy. This is why we don't ignore red flags. Bro dodged a nuclear warhead. And my personal favorite. Imagine being the other dude watching this. Final update. The day that was supposed to be my wedding finally rolled around. Instead of walking down an aisle, I spent it at a bar with my buddies, watching football and tearing into wings. Honestly, it was the best Saturday I'd had in months. But Alexis, she had other plans. She showed up at the venue in her wedding dress, photographer in tow. Since she couldn't get a dime of the deposits refunded, the place was still technically hers for the day. So, in her mind, why not go through with the wedding? By herself. She staged an entire solo photo shoot, walking down the aisle to nobody, pretending to cut the cake, even doing a first dance with an imaginary groom. The whole sad performance. The staff didn't know what to do with her. They were so uncomfortable they ended up calling Victor. When he arrived, he lost it. I got the play-by-play from the catering manager, who happens to be friends with one of my guys. Victor tore into her. You're embarrassing yourself and this family. Her response? I deserve my special day. He stole it from me. Victor shot back. Stole it? You couldn't keep your tongue in your mouth for 9 days. Apparently, she screamed that he had never supported her happiness, and that this circus was her truth. Victor didn't stick around to argue. Before leaving, he told the venue staff to box up all the untouched food and donate it to a homeless shelter. At least somebody benefited from that disaster. The photographer, who hadn't been prepaid because Alexis assumed her dad would cover it, eventually packed up and walked out, but not before posting a handful of shots on Instagram with the caption, "Weirdest gig ever. Avad, no groom. Still wanted couples photos. Can't make this up." Those pictures blew up online. Shots of Alexis holding her own hand, dancing by herself, toasting the air. Equal parts hilarious and tragic. A week later, her court date for the breaking and entering mess came up. She pled down to attempted trespassing, ended up with 100 hours of community service, a $2,500 fine, and a restraining order keeping her 500 feet away from me and my place. Her lawyer tried spinning it as a mental health breakdown caused by public humiliation. The judge wasn't buying it. Your client attempted to break into someone's apartment with a crowbar, he said. Mental health isn't a free pass for criminal behavior. Meanwhile, Marcus's wife also secured a restraining order. Turns out Alexis had started driving by their house at night. And then the bomb dropped. Marcus finally admitted to his wife that it hadn't just been the one club night. He and Alexis had hooked up twice before, once in his car, once at a cheap motel. The motel had receipts. Paid with Alexis's credit card. The one Victor covered. He discovered it himself while combing through statements to shut down all her accounts. That was the final straw. Victor and Colleen are divorcing after 31 years. She blames him for abandoning Alexis, while he blames her for raising and enabling a monster. As for Alexis, she's crashing at Serena's place and working at a makeup store. She lost her marketing job after the wedding dress stunt went viral, and according to mutual acquaintances, she's telling everyone I abused her and ruined her life over nothing. Last week, I got a text from an unknown number. "I'm sorry for everything. I know you'll never forgive me, but I'm in therapy now. I realize I have a lot of issues. I hope you find happiness." I didn't respond. I just forwarded it to my lawyer for the file. Here's the twist, though. Lila, one of the evadesmaids, reached out. Not on Alexis's behalf, but to apologize for ambushing me in the hallway that day. We grabbed coffee, and she admitted she'd been questioning her friendship with Alexis for a long time. She even told me Alexis had hooked up with her ex 2 years earlier and then gaslit her about it. We're not dating, but we've hung out a few times since. She's actually pretty cool when she's not being dragged into Alexis's chaos. She even showed me the old group chat from the night of the Bachelorette. Lila was the only one saying, "Maybe don't post these pics," while everyone else egged her on. The local news wrapped things up with a final segment. A "Where are they now?" piece. This time, they interviewed me. I kept it simple. I caught my fiancé cheating, I ended it, and the rest of the mess was her doing. They asked if I had regrets. "Yeah," I said, not seeing the red flags sooner. Like when she kissed a stranger at her sister's wedding and called it testing the waters. That should have been my cue to run. The look on the reporter's face was priceless. Funny enough, that part didn't make the final cut. As for me, life's good now. I got promoted at work, apparently being the guy who dodged the crazy Avad. Makes you a bit of an office legend. I moved into a nicer apartment, free of all the old memories. I picked up rock climbing again. Something Alexis always shut down because she claimed it was too dangerous. I even adopted a rescue pit bull named Titan. Alexis used to claim she was allergic, but really, she just didn't like dogs. The best part? Running into Victor at a coffee shop last week. He bought my drink and said, "You know, I was planning on giving you two a house as a wedding gift. Guess you dodged that bullet too." We both laughed. And to everyone wondering if Alexis learned anything from all this, no. People like her don't learn. They just find new people to blame. Last I heard, she's dating some gym bro who thinks her ex was just intimidated by her free spirit. Good luck with that, champ. You're gonna need it. Oh, and Marcus? His wife divorced him. He's crashing in his brother's garage now, paying alimony, and Alexis doesn't even return his texts anymore. Sometimes karma doesn't just knock. It kicks the door in. Anyway, thanks for sticking around through this madness. I'm moving forward with my dog, my sanity, and my tongue staying exactly where it belongs. In my own mouth. Peace out. Edit. For those wondering, yes, I kept the ring. Sold it and bought a killer gaming setup. Alexis can die mad about it. Edit 2. If you think this is fake, I wish it was. My life would have been way less chaotic. But believe what you want. I'm just glad it's over. Edit 3. Just found out Alexis tried suing the news station for defamation, claiming their coverage destroyed her reputation. They countersued for filing a frivolous lawsuit. Now she owes them legal fees. You literally cannot make this up.